Welcome to LSC. It's Sports Time. I'm your host, Bob Hintz. Today I have with me Craig Brehon, who is a basketball coach over at Bethel High School. Welcome.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it for having me.
I tell you, we're going back here, and we're going to talk a little bit about you growing up, but you grew up on the south side, not in the Hampton area, but very similar. Like a kid, you played all the sports.
I did.
Talk about a little bit about what you played in the rec league over in Norfolk.
Well, growing up, I played for the Super Chiefs, and they were out of Tidewater Park. And I didn't live there, but I had some friends that played for the Super Chiefs, and I thought it was a really good program. And I played football, basketball, and baseball in my early years.
Right.
And I enjoyed it. I mean, it was an outstanding program. Joe Alston was the head of that program over there. So influential that they named the street after him. He passed a few years ago, but just a dynamic person and really got me just geeked up about playing sports when I was young.
Well, it got you interested in things that other than get in trouble.
Exactly, really did. And I played there at 10 years old when I really started.
Right.
And I just enjoyed all sports like most kids did. Just tried everything. And as time progressed, I recognized that, one sport where I was better probably in basketball than the others and stuck with that.
Right. Now, didn't you went to, did they have junior highs back then, or was it middle school?
It was junior high back then. I went to Azalea Gardens Junior High School.
Right. Now, they had a team. You played with that team?
Actually, I played 8th grade. Up until that point, I played 8th grade JV basketball. But prior to that, I was with the Super Chiefs up until I got to JV basketball.
Okay. And then when you JV basketball, you were playing for, was it Lake Taylor?
Lake Taylor High School.
Right. And who was your coach there?
My coach was Martin Tao. He played at Elizabeth City State University. He was about a 6'7" wing himself.
Right.
Young coach. He was an English teacher at Lake Taylor, and we just enjoyed playing for him, back then as well. And I still stay in touch with Coach Tao now as well.
Well, that's great. Okay, now, were you always a guard, or did you play other positions?
I was basically a guard throughout my whole career. I've never really played the post. I was always kind of tall and lanky, skinny kid, and didn't play the post. Probably didn't have enough meat on my bones to push anybody around. But basically a guard from my 10-year-old up until, I played college.
Right.
And,
all right, now, then you went on to high school at Lake Taylor, and who was your coach at Lake Taylor?
Andy Anderson was my high school coach, and Coach Anderson was a tough guy. He was a football coach also / basketball.
Right,
and
hard-nosed.
Hard-nosed, and he pushed us, and I enjoyed my time playing with him, and I stay in touch with Coach Anderson today too as well. He's come and seen some of our regional games we've played when I coach in, and I get the chance to catch up with him then.
Because a lot of your friends that you grew up with are on the south side, so when you get the chance to play on the south side, I'm sure you get some of those people to come and watch some of your games.
Yeah, good following. I mean, although I've moved back on the south side now, I lived, over here for years, and my younger brother passed in 2000. So I sold my house over here and bought a house back on the south side. And
so you go through the tunnel every day?
Every day.
Oh, bless your heart.
I think the car drives itself now. I've been doing it so many years, but I enjoy it. I mean, I enjoy Bethel High School and the Hampton City School system, and that's why I make that commitment, to drive. Right. I'm sure people do it all the time, but I enjoy it myself.
Okay.
And,
now, but when you graduated, you didn't go immediately to college. You went a different route. In fact, we was talking about it, and that's what Armando Curry did. Muffin went to military school. You did too. You went to which one?
Frederick Military Academy in Portsmouth at the time.
Right.
And they're not open anymore. But Bill Phelps was the basketball coach at Granby High School, and I kind of established a rapport with him, a relationship with him through one of my present coaches, Coach Chet Gorbea. Chet coached me when I was 10 with the Super Chiefs, and he's still coaching with me today. He's 77.
How about that?
And we've just developed a friendship, and now we're almost really like family. But that's really where I met Coach Phelps at back then, and I was the leading scorer at Lake Taylor, but didn't get the interest I thought at that time that I needed. And so he helped me go into prep school and got me a scholarship there, and I played at Frederick for that 1 year and went on to St. Andrews.
Talk a little bit about it, because that's you're talking a different situation now. You don't have boys and girls. You got only guys, and you got to get up at 5 or reveille or whatever it is.
Well, reveille, it was a little uncommon for me. I'm not used to hearing a horn, blow a bugle blow to get you out of bed. But you get out and you get in your formation with the uniform on, and once they make sure you're in formation, then you go and eat your breakfast, and then you go on to class from that point on. And since I was a postgraduate, after classes, we were required to lift weights in practice. You can still see I probably didn't lift many weights in my day, but that was a requirement.
Right.
We practiced, and then we'd have study hall at night, after dinner, and then bedtime. And so I didn't really go
structure thing that you weren't used to before.
Well, I wasn't used to that. I didn't really necessarily need the structure about getting in the house at a certain time or bed at a certain time, but it helped. And a lot of people choose prep schools for various reasons. Academics. I just needed it, I guess, for exposure, a little bit more exposure, right. And it helped me. It aided me really well.
And the discipline there. Because you have to be disciplined when you're playing basketball or whatever sport it is. So I assume that the discipline, you kind of said, okay, yeah, I can handle that.
I can handle it. And what's unusual about that is that when you go to prep school, they still have students there from 9th grade through 12th on the same campus. And those students have rank. And you come in as a postgraduate, 18 years old, and you got a 14-year-old giving you directions. And sometimes that's not real, you don't take kindly to that, but you deal with it. And so right. I enjoyed it all. Great experience for me.
All right. Now, then you went to St. Andrews?
St. Andrews Presbyterian College in Laurinburg, North Carolina.
Right. And 4-year starter?
3-year starter, actually. My first year, I sat behind a guy named Will Peterson, who was an All-American. And Christopher Newport, Coach Willem would certainly know a lot about him because Will Peterson was outstanding, a 5'11" guard from the Virgin Islands that averaged about 30 a game, just wow. Tremendously strong and gifted. And I recall when I went down there on a visit to the campus with one of my friends, Marshall Henry, who also left Princess Anne to go to St. Andrews with me. We worked out with those guys, and I thought I was pretty good coming there after my postgraduate year. And Will, I played him one-on-one, and he hit me in the throat. I don't think it was intentionally, but it was a good hit. And he showed me real early on that he was the king at St. Andrews, and I had to take a back seat. So, he was really tough and strong, but I learned a lot from him as well and started my next 3 years.
Okay, and again, you point guard?
Shooting guard.
Shooting guard then, okay. Yes. And while you were there, you developed a relationship with your coach that you did things that most ball players don't do.
Well, that's true. Doug Rowley was my coach at St. Andrews, and I respect him tremendously. Throughout my tenure there, we developed the kind of relationship where we could just talk, outside of basketball. Right. And I knew right then that if I couldn't play, obviously, I think your dreams and aspirations as a kid is everybody wants to play pro. But right. I said if that didn't happen, I wanted to go into coaching, and he knew that my passion was there early on, and so he allowed me to scout with him.
So you went scouted the teams you were getting ready to play, you went with the coach? Even
at the college level. I'd go scout with him like I was an assistant coach and started off real small at first, but he taught me how to scout and how to break down scouting and what to look for. And of course, he was an organized coach in practice. I mean, from the beginning to the end, had things pretty much detailed of what he was working on that day, and that's kind of where I learned my craft from him.
I've been over to one of your practices, and I can see you've got a certain way you're going through your practice, right. Certain progression that you have already set up. And do you see the kids really respond to that? I
think there's a method to the madness, and I think the kids do. I think, at the high school level, if you're not organized and if you don't know what you're talking about, these kids, as gifted and talented as they are today, can see through that. And so you got to know what you're doing and know what you're talking about. Right. Some people probably just see the end result when you go to the games, and they'll say, this guy fusses and yells a lot. But you know what? We do work on things in practice, and when we work on them, we want the kids to kind of perfect that and get better at it. And so it's just just trying to push them to get better. That's all it is.
Well, then you graduated, and you go into coaching, and where did you go first?
Actually, back to my alma mater, Lake Taylor. Went there right out of
some of the teachers that taught you were still there, I'm assuming?
Same teachers. Quite a few of them were still there, and my own high school coach was still there. And Andy, he hired me as his JV coach that year, and I was just ecstatic to be back at my high school and coach there. And some of the guys that played for me, their relatives had gone to Bethel as well, and so I had a relationship with some of the families, and I stayed there 1 year at Lake Taylor, coached there. And the next year, an opportunity came for me to go to Granby High School. Okay. So I took that opportunity. The next year,
friend of mine at Granby,
Jim Harvey.
Right.
And really what happened at the Lake Taylor situation was they didn't fire me, but Bobby Stevens played at Virginia Tech. Right. Bobby Stevens wanted to come in and coach. He had just lost his job at Virginia Tech, and they came in and said they wanted to kind of go another direction. I guess you would say that is fired. but what they wanted to do was
they wanted to bring him in.
More stability, bring him in. And at the time,
low man on the totem pole.
I guess that's what it was. And so they brought him in for that year. And so Granby opened up the next year for me. I took that under Jim Harvey, had a great time working with him as well. Learned a lot of things from him. I know one thing, he's a Carolina fan.
Yes, very strong Carolina
Bleeds
fan.
that blue. And worked with him, and we had a really good JV team and a very good varsity team. Ed Geth and Warren Pitts and Dwayne Lundy, big team. And worked with him that 1 year and then left there and went to Booker T. Washington. Barry Hamill asked me to come over there as well with him at Booker T. Washington, and I went with him for 3 years to run the JV program and assistant varsity with him as well. We had some really good talent there and good teams.
And then you worked with another legendary coach on that side, Jack Baker.
Yeah, Jack has been there about 37 years at Maury, and I enjoy and still talk to Jack, from time to time now. We're in the summer league actually at Maury High School now, and Jack is getting closer to his tenure of finishing up over there, but he's got a couple more good years in him, and I learned a lot from all 4 of those guys. They all do things a little differently, but the end result is they all win. And they all have the best interests, which is the kids, and I've learned all that.
And that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
I mean, you can win different ways, but the bottom thing, you got to have the kids' best interests at heart.
You really do.
Yeah, so that's good. Then you between coaching and all that, and Boo Williams sees you coaching, and Dave Pearson sees you coaching, and a Bethel job opened up.
Yeah, that was odd. I knew nobody on the peninsula really, other than just meeting them maybe a couple times, and just got a contact the principal at Bethel High School. It was an opening, for the job. And when I looked into it, I said, wow, they had just won a state championship a year prior to that. And I said, wow, this is a great opportunity if I can get that job. And so I talked to Dave Pearson and the other administrators and Kozlowski that was there in the interview. And it went really, really good. And when they offered me the job, at first I said I needed some more time. I needed about a week or two just to do some more talking and soul searching. And Mr. Pearson at the time said he didn't have a lot of time. He wanted to kind of move on that and get a coach in place. It was getting close to, this summer league and things got started. So I took the job, met some of the players, and I've been there ever since '94.
Since '94. And let's talk about some of the players that's gone through your program, because you've had some real good ball players go through your program.
Well, we have, and if I call one, I'll probably miss some.
Well, I know you're going to miss some, and we apologize for the ones we missed, but
certainly
just ones that come to your mind.
Well, of course, Duke Cruz, and Jamel McClain played for me, in the 2005 and 6 season, and both of those guys are doing really well. Duke left and went to Tennessee, and left Tennessee and went to Bowie State and graduated, and now he's playing overseas in the Philippines.
Oh, okay.
And Jamel McClain also is playing overseas as well, and Jamel went to Xavier University. His first stop was Tulsa, left there after a year and then transferred to Xavier. So they're 2 of our kids that really are highlighted because of their success. But we've had a host of kids come through. Bill Weaver went to Liberty University. John Tell Evans is currently playing at UVA. I love John Tell. The way he just, from a freshman throughout his whole career at Bethel, the way he just prepared himself and Bethel first mentality and coach first mentality. I mean, he was just a super leader, a super teammate, and he still calls and checks on us today, and we do the same about him as well.
Well, that's great. Now, I know you got to do something that a lot of people don't. You at least made it to the championship game.
Right.
You got beat. Come to find out, you got beat by the guy that said, "Kick it there now."
he won't leave me alone.
He won't leave you alone. He said, "Okay, I know somebody I can get a hold of."
Exactly.
But that had to be a tremendous accomplishment that season for you guys.
Well, that experience is something that you will never forget. I mean, just the pattern of getting to that point was super. The school spirit that we had and the following from the community was just outstanding. And even today, my coaches and some of the players that played then still talk about the unfinished business. And we're still a little disappointed, obviously, what took place, and aspire to get back to that point again. But it was just a great experience all the way through, and wouldn't change it for the world, but we want to get back there again and take care of business and win it the next time.
If you look on the peninsula, coming year, what kind of athletes do we see? What is the potential for the peninsula, not only for Bethel, but the other schools too? Well,
obviously Hampton, won the state championship this past year, and their coaches did an outstanding job of just preparing those guys and getting them ready. As the season progressed, they got better.
Right, they really did.
And as a team, they weren't really any outstanding individual talent other than maybe Cat, but he put his skills to come in place with the other guys on the team, made them better.
Well, and I would have to say this is the most unselfish team that I've seen in a long time, especially when you have one superstar and 4 supporters. You never really saw him, talking about Barber, you never saw him be, okay, it's me.
Certainly.
And every game I went to, and I don't know about you, but we went to a lot of games, and I mean, especially when they got into the tournament, I mean, these guys would be forearming him and beating and grabbing his jersey, and he never got upset.
Exactly, and I think the coaching staff did just a great job with those guys, getting them to buy in, really. No great talent around him, but those guys bought into, and what they did the best was they defended.
Right.
You know, they really create problems for you on the defensive end of the floor. They push you out a little farther when you try to start your offense.
Right.
And they rebound well. They gain rebounds.
And they're not that big.
Not at all. They're just very tenacious and aggressive. And so I consider them the team to beat. Obviously, next year they've got majority of the kids back, and then Phoebus, still has Troy and James Daniel over there, and we've got Rakeem at Bethel, along with Carlos and Deshaun Barton, who are returning starters.
Well, you lost a good one.
Well, Aaron Baycoat.
Yeah, to me, was he was a lot like Barber, and he didn't get upset. But he let the game come to him rather than try to make the play. He just, if it's there, I go. If I don't, and is that something that he just had, or is it something that you guys worked on?
Well, the epitome of class. I mean, Aaron also played from his freshman year through senior year, and he just learned those kind of things as he progressed, through his career there. A straight A student. What more can you ask for as a coach when you have a kid that is straight A from his freshman year throughout his senior year, who tutors and helps his own teammates if they need that kind of help, who also excels on the basketball floor. He led the entire region in scoring like this past year, almost 25 points a game. Right. He had several offers, but he was just humble, just a coachable kid, and I'm going to miss, Aaron.
Oh, I know you're going to
tremendously.
Miss him.
And I tell the kids now, it's hard to replace 25 points, but more importantly, it's hard to replace that type of a person.
Right.
And that's what we're going to miss the most about Aaron.
Why he had a lot of different offers, but decided to go to Old Dominion? Was it because he's close to home, or what? And how do you think he'll do over there?
Well, I think proximity had a lot to do with it. His family is really engaged in all of their kids that have come through Bethel,
right.
And even Cam that's coming up right now. They support the program and they support their kids. And I think it was just a big thing. His grandmother, being a state delegate as well,
right.
They can get over there and see him play a lot. I think that factored a lot into Aaron's decision. And I really believe that they're going to play him right away. Blaine, told me when they recruited him that they anticipate playing him right away rather than sitting him out. So he's got his program that he's working on, his weights, and he's constantly in the gym working to perfect those skills. And I see Aaron playing next year. He's a wing that can shoot it. He can go off the dribble. He's physically strong enough to defend. He understands that's important to stay on the floor, and so he's ready. He really is.
Well, he had a good coach coming up.
I appreciate it, but part of that is you have willing kids that want to listen.
Yeah.
It makes it really easy for coaches like yourself and myself to
really
give our knowledge to them as well.
All right, I'm going to kind of wrap this up, but I want you to kind of talk about how athletics and academics dovetail, how it works together.
Well, just almost like the example I just used, and Aaron is one of many that have come through our program that took care of academics. When you have a child that comes to you and you don't ever have to speak to them or their parents or teachers about them taking care of business and being conscientious in the classroom, that makes it so much easier from a coach's perspective. When coaches come in and say, this kid, Aaron Baycoat or Bill Weaver or Paul Meredith or John Taylor Evans or Duke Cruz or Jamel McClain, the kids that come through our program, they say, we want to offer these kids a scholarship. And I give the transcript to a college coach. The first thing they've said about all those kids and others we've had in our programs is super, this kid's already qualified. And it makes it so much easier. So that's kind of the message we give to the young kids that are coming in our program that are in JV and in our future junior program, is you have two things to take care of here. Your academics and your skill set. If you take care of those kind of things and be a good citizen, you'll also have a chance as well. And so that's what we preach at Bethel High School. And the kids that have been recruitable to our school have gone on from our school to be able to play right away. And so that's what I think we're most happy about, is the kids and the parents have done a really good job of getting these kids prepared and understanding that you got to be prepared academically before you can go anywhere athletically.
Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you, Bob. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for tuning in to LSC and Sports Time. I want to thank with special guest Craig Brehon. I'm your host, Bob Hintz. Until next time.